The invocation system currently is incredibly RNG heavy. A good chunk of invocations are instant run enders, meaning getting the right set of invocations likely will have you resetting a lot. I found the system loves to throw an upgrade to an existing invocation and then 2 other choices. My strategy for getting the right invocations most often is to always pick a good upgradable choice whenever it is available. If you already have Myopia 1 and you get Myopia 2 or Solar Flare 1 as a choice, take Solar Flare 1 just to lock in that good invocation. The second priority after a new upgradable invocation is a new one-off invocation, as new invocations are always more rare than upgrades to existing ones. Finally, pray you don't get Doom, Scorpion, Totemic, or Relentless as choices. You absolutely can get a combination of all 3 slots being filled by these, and it is an instant run ender. Bees!
Oh, no, not the bees!
Bees fly towards you very slowly, and strangely. If they fly underneath you, they will deal 10 poison hit splats every game tick. This invocation in the melee setup is basically impossible to deal with. They do in fact spawn at soul, making that fight practically impossible, even at tier 1. These are an okay pick if goal is not to get to the boss, but only get to higher waves. They are a guaranteed max hit, and you can heal off of them with various specs. Venator Bow also bounces to these when they are inside enemies. Blasphemy. Prayer is drained by 20% of all damage received. This includes things like Divine Potions. Upgrades bump this up to 40% and 60% respectively. This is one of the worst invocations, but you are forced to take it at the beginning, as the others are even worse. It chunks through a dramatic amount of prayer doses and will smite you very quickly, killing you often. Avoid taking upgrades to this Invo whenever possible. Being forced to take tier 2 of this on wave 2 or 3 is an instant restart. Tier 3 on wave 6 or earlier is likely also restart worthy. Doom. Hits from monsters off prayer apply Doom. 20 stacks of Doom kills you instantly. In reality, what this actually means is any damage taken applies Doom. You can never take this, and the run is always over if you are forced to. The Doom Scorpion spawns a slow-moving scorpion that applies 2 stacks of Doom if it hits you. Upgrades make it faster and have it applying 4 and 8 stacks respectively. You can also never take this, and the run is always over if you are forced to. Dynamic Duo spawns an additional Shockwave Colossus next to the one that already spawns. This typically doesn't change solves and is worth taking nearly every time you see it. Frailty, your max HP is reduced by 10% and can't be overhealed. Upgrades bump this up to 20% and 40% respectively. Tier 1 is the only manageable invocation. This can only realistically be taken after wave 10. Avoid at all costs. Myopia reduces range by 2 tiles. Upgrades bump this to 4 tiles and 6 tiles respectively. This is the best invocation for getting a completion. A melee setup is required to kill the boss, and this does not affect melee whatsoever. If your goal is not get to boss but farm to higher waves, this can be a bad choice. Replacing this invocation with bees, if that's you, is probably the play. Reentry. Javelins falling towards you leave permanent damage and creep that is cleaned after the wave. Upgrades increase the area covered and make it permanent for the entire Colosseum. You can take tier 1 of this on wave 10 or later, but avoid it if possible. Tier 2 can be taken on the boss. Red flag, Minotaurs can no longer be safe spotted. What this means is Minotaurs gain smart pathing and they can walk straight through enemies. Avoid taking this at all times. You can take it on wave 11 if there is no other option. Relentless, enemies don't miss and their max hit increases. Upgrades increase the max hit further. You can only ever take this on the boss. Reset if you are forced to take this. Solar Flare adds a slow-moving orbiting damage orb around the pillars. Upgrades make this do more damage, and the final upgrade turns your overhead prayer off for 1 tick. This is equally good to take as Myopia. The orb is fairly easy to deal with as long as you tag it with ID shown on screen. Quartet adds an extra random Fremenic every wave. This is fairly easy to deal with using my strategy. Take this if possible. Keep in mind that extra Fremenic does spawn on the boss, and you'll have to kill it at the beginning of the fight. Totemic spawns a healing totem after enemies are below 50% HP that constantly heals them a set amount. Totems have 1 HP and are guaranteed to be killed by any weapon. This is an instant reset if you are forced to take it. Yes, it even affects the boss. If it is your only option on the boss, it spawns only 1 totem for the boss fight, so it is possible to kill him still. It's possible to run this if your goal is simply get to late waves and not the boss. Volatility. Enemies explode on death 1 tile out from their radius. Upgrades to this increase the range to 2 tiles out, and the final upgrade makes them leave behind a puddle of permanent creep. This is an instant restart if you're forced to take it usually. You can theoretically deal with tier 1 after wave 10. This is a great pick on the boss wave. Don't forget that the extra Fremenic explodes, and so does the boss. I'd really like to see Jagex completely rebalance these and potentially remove some of the more boring invocations. Currently, many are punishing to the point you cannot take them whatsoever. I would like to see them add 2 reroll tokens that you can spend to see a new set of invocations when you get horrible choices. Just rebalancing them would go a long ways as well. Colosseum feels like an excellent piece of content with really unique monster design and boss encounter, with this annoying RNG system nailed to the back of it, bogging everything down. It's very frustrating to hear they're going to wait on balancing Doom. I get where they're coming from, but it is absurdly bad. It's also frustrating to hear that this is the only invocation they are contemplating changing, as many are equally bad. That's it for the video. Leave a like if you like it, and or subscribe. Thanks, guys.